Welcome back to The Jump. We had such a great opening night, but for most of the league, it's tonight that marks the start of the NBA regular season. So this is our last chance, guys, to make some 2021 award predictions. First up, I want to know who you guys got for most valuable player. Caesars William Hill has Luka Doncic as the front runner, just ahead of reigning two-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo. So Vince, who's your pick?
I mean, that's a great list. You look at that list, but I'm going to say Durant's going to come back with a vengeance to prove that he's one of the best in this league. And, you know, I think we forget how prolific of a scorer he is. I mean, he showed, you know, we're like, oh, is he back? Is he back? Let me tell you something. What he was doing and how easy he scored over whoever. It didn't matter if you were 7 feet or 6'5", he was scoring at will, and we're going to see that all year.
Well, I don't have a problem with your pick, Vince, but Kevin Durant, you had your turn. LeBron James, you had your turn. Steph, Giannis, y'all had y'all turn. James Harden, move out the way. It is Anthony Davis' turn, and I got him picked to win the MVP this season.
Well, look, Anthony Davis, also a big candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. In fact, he is the front runner, according to Caesars William Hill. He's followed by Gobert, Giannis, Bam Adebayo. So, Perk, are you picking him for both? Are you picking him for Defensive Player of the Year and MVP?
Well, no, Rachel, I thought Anthony Davis should have won it last year. So I'm going with Bam Adebayo. Yes, I said Adebayo. I don't never pronounce his name right. Get what I'm saying? He is a guy that could guard 1 through 5. He's a great rim protector. I love the way he anchors that Miami Heat defense, and I'm expecting big things out of Bam defensively this year for the Miami Heat.
And I'm going to go with Anthony Davis on this, and I agree with Perk. I think he was supposed to win last year. He feels like he was supposed to win. His team feels like he was supposed to win, and they have a great chance to go back-to-back with the title. So I think with him now slowly getting the keys to being the go-to guy, I think he's going to be the anchor to their team and make a huge difference. And I think he wants to prove that he was supposed to win it last year to go with that championship.
All right, let's hit Rookie of the Year next, guys. Caesars William Hill gives LaMelo Ball the best odds of winning that award, followed by Anthony Edwards, James Wiseman, and Obi Toppin. So, Vince, you won Rookie of the Year in '99. Who is your pick to win Rookie of the Year 22 years later?
I mean, in my heart, I want to say Anthony Edwards, you know, because I don't think Minnesota has enough firepower to make the playoffs. So with that being said, it turns to LaMelo Ball. And so it's a slash. I say Anthony Edwards, but I think LaMelo has a better chance to get his team into the playoffs,
right?
If you would, in the East.
That's part of it, though.
So I mean, you know, that's gonna speak volumes, obviously, for that award. So it turns to LaMelo.
Yeah.
Well, I love LaMelo. I think he's exciting, but he's not going to win the Rookie of the Year. I got to go with James Wiseman. Watching this kid last night, he scores so easy. He can score. He finishes well around the basket. He got a nice touch around, a nice 15-footer, nice post moves, and in this offense that the Golden State Warriors have around, so much attention is around Steph. He's going to get buckets, especially when Draymond Green gets back. So I got James Wiseman. You know I got a soft spot for the big man.
You do, Perk. And look,
yeah, I
don't really give predictions, guys, because it takes some of my joy. One of my joy of watching the NBA is that I don't know how it's going to go. But I do have to agree with you, Vince. I think Kevin Durant is being overlooked in these preseason MVP picks and odds and everything like that. He's Kevin Durant, and the Nets are set up to be pretty amazing. I just think he's going to be in that conversation.
There was no hesitation today.
None.
There was no hesitation on the court.
All right, coming up, NBA legend Tim Hardaway Sr. dropping by to talk about, basketball karma for all the times the KD Warriors had done that to other teams in recent years. Still, I would caution anyone from making one of those 7-second rushes to judgment on Golden State. No, the Warriors are clearly not an elite team right now. Without Klay, we knew that already. They are also likely not as bad as what we saw last night, which was rookie James Wiseman's first game, and a game Draymond didn't even play. The same caution about first impressions also applies to the Clippers and Lakers, who kicked off the night with the most unusual ring ceremony in NBA history and finished it with some disjointed play and LeBron James sitting out the game's final 8 minutes with a rolled ankle. Now, I was in the mostly empty Staples Center last night, and I can tell you the whole vibe was just, well, as weird and disorienting as everything else has been this year, which is why when, not long after the game started, Paul George bounced a pass to, I don't know here, the referee. It wasn't shocking to me that he was taking a minute to get his bearings. Of course, NBA Twitter is NBA Twitter, so we got a lot of this. Again, though, first impressions aren't always correct, and PG's night was about to get better, a lot better. A dominant 33 points better, where we saw PG do stuff like this. Yeah. So that's good to see again. And this. The performance certainly seemed to back up what Paul has been saying for weeks, that finally having two healthy shoulders was making a world of difference from last season. It also underscored how the franchise listened to him when he publicly complained about not being put in enough pick and rolls. Last night, nearly 70% of PG's possessions were pick plays, and the Clippers also gave him more flexibility within each of those possessions, which directly led to 34 of his points, or 34 points overall. So how much stock should we put in all of what we saw last night? Not too much. After all, scientists have also found snap judgments, the ones we make in those early 7 seconds, are often just patently untrue. Apparently, we have to give these teams at least, 2 games? Then I'm sure we'll know everything. Vince, I love those Paul George stats. I love seeing him thrive and answer the challenge last night. What do you think the Clippers can do to continue getting that version of Paul George?
Nothing. I think it's, in my opinion, I think it's business as usual. We've seen Paul George have great regular season. They need him to be prolific, elite, one of the best 5 to 10 players in the NBA in the postseason. So right now, this is just revving up, getting warm for the postseason. So I think, put him in the pick and roll situations that he wants, where he feels like he can thrive. Okay, fine, we're going to put you there, but we need you to bring this same energy and effort in the postseason for them to win.
Yeah, I agree. And here it is. Paul George is a phenomenal player. No one could take that from him. He's an elite two-way player, one of the elite two-way players in the game today. I think the biggest challenge for Paul George is his mental. And the best thing that happened for Paul George was Ty Lue. Ty Lue is a coach that not only he would get on you, but he could relate to you. So he's almost like a friend slash brother slash coach that will get the best out of Paul George, and he listens to his players. You could tell Paul George is playing with a clutter-free mind, and it showed on the court. And like Vince said, we never doubted his talent in the regular season. It's when it gets tough and when it matters the most in the postseason, what Paul George are we going to see? Are we going to see the Paul George that have those 5 for 15 nights, or he's going to be locked in? He's going to block out all the distractions. He might need to take a chapter out of LeBron James' book and go dark mode, where he get off of social media and just have straight tunnel vision. And I think that will help him a lot.
Yeah, that's a great point, Perk. I want to get to the other game from last night.
And I want to add to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to add one thing to that. And I think, and he should use the regular season as practice, as these big games, the Christmas games, and any big games that they have. That should be his approach, playoff mode. Everything is to playoff mode. They felt like they had a letdown and this didn't happen. Everything should be geared towards and predicated to how we're going to play in the playoffs starting now. Yeah, for sure. All right, let's get to the other game from last night, where the Nets looked awesome in that 26-point win over the Warriors. The 7-11 duo of Kyrie and KD. Kyrie, 26 points in 25 minutes. KD, 22 points in 25 minutes. Perk, was that blowout last night more about the Nets being great or the Warriors having trouble?
It was more about the Nets being great. It's not, look, the Warriors are not the only team that's going to get blown out by the Brooklyn Nets. It's going to be a lot of teams get blown out by them, Rachel. They are deep. Kyrie and KD are on a mission right now. Look, Kyrie could burn all the sage that he wants. He could sit Indian style. I don't care what he do off the court. When he get between those lines and he play this type of basketball, the Nets are going to be tough to beat. And I love what Steve Nash is doing right now by bringing Karis LeVert off the bench, because he could possibly win Sixth Man of the Year because he's a bucket.
Yes.
But look, the most important thing I was impressed about, the ball movement. Guys were not playing my turn basketball. They were letting it go. They were flowing through the offense and not forcing anything. And by the way, on the defensive end, their energy was there, and it was set by Kevin Durant, blocking shots and taking charges. The Brooklyn Nets are really, really scary to anyone, but they're coming out of the East. I tell you that much.
Ooh, all right, Vince. What about you?
And say it. And I tell you, it could go either way. Depends on what side of the spectrum you're on. But I definitely think it's about the Brooklyn Nets and what they have to offer. And just think about this: the last 2 years, they made the playoffs, and they did not have Kevin Durant, and they did not have Kyrie Irving.
Right.
So now you're adding prolific superstars to this team, and all you need now is adjustment to getting these guys to buy in. I agree with bringing Karis LeVert off the bench as another scorer. So when you bring one of those guys, KD, Kyrie, out, and you bring Karis, and you still have two scorers, or you can put him in there and feature him by himself. So they have so many options. Defensively, they're very good. And you see, like you said, Kevin Durant has bought in and in position. And there was one situation where he missed a tag, a bump, and then he ended up getting a foul. Mm-hmm. And he said, and he admitted his wrong to the bench and to the coach. And I think that's the start, first of all, of a good defensive team. And players like that admitting their wrongs now can translate to good things later on down the line.
See, that's fascinating to me. I didn't catch that moment, Vince. I love hearing that, though, because one of the concerns about this Nets team, right, has been that defensively they're not as strong. They're not set up to be as strong as they are offensively. And can they bring that level up? Now, we saw with the Lakers last year, if you took the numbers of all the players the season previous, they didn't look like they would be a good defensive team. But guess what?
Well,
they buckled down and played great defense. And you think the Nets can do the same, Vince?
Well, Rachel, I'm going to say this. Even if they're not great individual defensive players, team defense is most important. What are your strengths that they have on their defense? They're shot blockers. So you just need to be solid.